everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Did you know there's a ChatGPT memory trick that lets you run prompts with almost zero tokens? It's true. Some ChatGPT power users are using it to run mini apps just by hacking the memory feature. There's also a memory trick for juggling conversations with multiple expert personas. Again, no extra tokens and no paid plan required because memory has now been unlocked for free users as well. These strategies are open to everyone. So here's why this matters. Because memory was rolled out for all ChatGPT users, and when I found out these tricks, I wasn't using them. Like most people, free and paid, aren't using it to its full potential. That's fair for the free ones because you just got it. But there's no excuse for the people who pay for it. Or is there? Because I expect a little pushback on the show. We do not have, we have some people who are not fans. But I want to be clear, memory is not just about remembering facts. It can be about creating workflows, shortcuts, and even personas that can help make ChatGPT truly yours so that you are engaging with it in a custom way that really works for you. Today, we're discussing 3 high impact memory techniques: the memory interview, wake word commands, and the memory cleanup hack. And that can transform your daily AI experience, whether you're on a free plan or paying for Plus or Pro. Did I mention that you don't have to pay for ChatGPT in order to make this work for you? Yeah. This is the Daily AI Show. It is episode 480. Today is June 6, 2025. And with me in the studio are Brian, Junmi, Andy, and I am Beth. And if you're doing this, if you're seeing us for the first time, please go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe because you want to get notified when we put stuff up. Yeah, just trust me, you will want to get notified. Okay, so tossing this out to everybody, let's start just quick with what memory is because it's actually 2 different things. One is its ability to remember to a certain degree the previous chats that you've had. That preferences the most recent chats, right? Those kinds of things. And the second is under the settings, it's a personalization feature, and you turn it on, and that's where you can do these wake word and persona kind of cleanup hacks. So who is using memory here? What do you have it turned on? And if you have it, yeah, go ahead. Please share your memory status, your memory preferences with our audience today, because I think some of you aren't using memory, and we'd love to know why.
I'm one of those. So, not that I'm not using it, I turned it on when it was originally made available. And so I'm sure there's a lot that ChatGPT knows about me based on the memory that it automatically collects without me overtly saying, hey, remember this. But I tend to use projects and custom GPTs, which have, in effect, a bounded memory of the entire history in projects, particularly a bounded memory of all the prior chat history. So, and it has instructions and it has files and so on. So, when I use ChatGPT, it's typically with a project, and it's not my initial go-to when I'm just doing an off the cuff chat where I'm looking for some personality that understands and knows me. So I tend to go to Perplexity for most of those things, not expecting Perplexity to memorize a lot of stuff about me. So I'm excited about this show because I want to hear from you guys how you're using it, and maybe I shift more and more of my sort of ad hoc interactions with AI from Perplexity over to ChatGPT because of the memory feature.
Mm-hmm. I also am a Perplexity fan, so yes. Junmi, Brian, what about you?
Well, for me, I don't really use it. Mainly because when it came out, the way I use ChatGPT isn't for a lot of personal info, and the number one example everyone gave was, hey, it can learn stuff about you. I don't want it to know stuff about me. I do so many wide and varied different kinds of things. I'm not using my chats for considered or a focused thing, right? So the examples of, hey, I want it to remember certain things about a project I'm working on. That's not necessarily what I'm looking for. And I know the chat history search is, it'll just pick up what's relevant. But the more and more I add, that's going to be, I'm imagining, is more and more of a lift. So I never really got into it from that angle. I did go through trying to come up with something that I do use off and on, and that's custom instructions and how figure out what the big difference is between the two, right? And essentially, custom instructions is how I want to interact with ChatGPT, and the memory is what ChatGPT will use when referencing a specific topic or things like that. It's memories of what you guys are talking about. And so I tried to merge the two, and I came up with a little interesting take on a life coach kind of situation there.
Awesome.
So I found that the two of them working together can make interesting results. But on average, I don't really use memory too often. And like Andy, I want to know more about this wake word triggers thing, because I heard a little bit about that from, I think, first when I think it was Gareth or Justin had mentioned it in chat a while back.
Justin is a power user, I would
Okay.
say. I would
So
call Justin a power user of the memory feature. That was the first. So for people who are watching us after the fact, Justin is part of our regular crew that comes and hangs out in our chat and shares things in the chat about their use of AI. So that is what started me wondering if I was using AI enough. But then a bunch of people have seen Nate Silver's TikTok about it, so that was the next thing. I was like, okay, no, let's go back, let's go deeper into this. Brian, do you just want to quickly say where you are in the memory status? People, do you have it turned on?
I'm gonna bring up Greg's comment because I think it's a good one. I'm assuming Greg is being sarcastic here, so that's how I'm reading it. He said, "Hold on, if you have a 2-hour conversation with GPT about, say, the crisscross of quantum computing, professional selling, and luxury submersibles, the tangents may be relevant months from now." I think that is a good summary of how I feel about ChatGPT memory right now. So I wanted to bring that up first. Here's what I would say. I think there's actually probably a lot of use cases where memory is actually really valuable. I have not done this, but this is something I've been talking about in my family for a while, that I want to set up a ChatGPT Teams account just for me, my wife, and my daughter. Daughter's going into high school. Models are getting smarter. We know what ChatGPT can do. We're now adding apps. We're adding more connectors, right? We can see where this is going. And the reason why this is connected to memory is beyond projects. I can see where memory can have some value to me, because in that account, I would probably be doing stuff that's more about my life and less about work. Now, I have about, I'm probably in 7, maybe 8 different ChatGPT team accounts right now. Not all my own. I'm in client accounts. So memory does not serve me because it's not smart enough for me right now. When it does decide to pull something up, it's irrelevant to the conversation. But more than that, it's that it doesn't pull stuff up. I would love it if I could tell ChatGPT and it worked like a true appended custom instructions. And I could say, don't ever do this. I will be honest with you guys. I don't love, yes, M dashes are a pain in my ass, but like everybody's. But what I also don't love is when AI speak says something that's very AI speak, like, it's not just about this, comma, or M dash. It's also about a bigger thing here. That's very AI speak. It reminds me of going through my master's program and not wanting active or passive verbs, or wanting active verbs and not passive verbs, which I was horrible at. I want to be able to say in a memory as almost a custom instruction that says, if we're doing any sort of constructive writing here, active verbs, no M dashes, no whatever. And I would suspect as memory, that's the way it should work every single time without fail. And it could not be farther than that for me. So do I think it has some really big potential? And I'm actually really glad to hear that. I thought, never mind. I thought Carl was coming in, but it was Beth sharing a screen. They sound similar on the backside of the show. Little behind the scenes there. But what I was going to say is I'm sorry that Carl isn't here, because Carl has said to us on the show, hey, I really do love the way memory works with O3. And I thought, ooh, there's something. Maybe because I don't have a pro account or whatever. So not using it, have it turned off, because I've been underwhelmed by it for a long time now. It doesn't do a great job, to Jimmy and Andy's point, of being able to go across many, many different clients and conversations. Life is a lot more complex than, you do or don't like cats. And I kind of feel like that's where they've sort of distilled this down to. So that's where I'm currently at on it. But just like Perplexity back in the day, would love to be proved wrong. So what do you got, Beth?
Okay, so we're going to start. Let's just make sure that everybody knows where we turn memory on. So here we go. We are going to go up here to your plus thing that shows that, or it'll show pro, or it'll show free, but you'll still have the settings little gear icon. You go to settings, and under that is personalization, and then there is that's where you turn on your custom instructions. That's where you can turn on your reference save memories and reference chat history. Again, memory has two things that are part of it, and both of these are relevant. So referencing chat history lets it understand what your recent conversations have been. And that is one of the differentiators between the free plus and pro plan, because how much of your chat history that it's remembering is based on how much you're paying ChatGPT and OpenAI to do so. But this memory feature, reference saved memories, is really what we're talking about today, because you can go in and set something up. So right now, I'm just going to show you what it looks like if I set up if I run Newsify. Okay, while we do a AI news roundup once a week on Wednesdays, you all know this, but I have a particular format that I like to share my news in that is going to be represented right here. So I'm going to ask to Newsify that, and it's going to search the web for that news piece. And it's going to not work. That's hilarious. Of course it's going to not work. All right. So I'm going to show you what it would look like if it were working. And I didn't change the thing. That's why you didn't see that at all. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to say Newsify this this URL, and it is going to come and it is going to give me what a prompt technique to adjust ChatGPT's tone. Right, it's going to give me these individual things. This is what that story is about, and then the format that I choose is what it is, 3 prompts that say more about it, why it matters, and what to watch for. This up here is how I set it. When I say Newsify, search and summarize the linked content in bulleted format and give it back to me as what overview, and then that structure. That's what didn't work when I ran it just now. So I need to work with it so that it really understands the structure. Got it. Going forward, when you say Newsify, I will do these things. And the other key to this is, please remember this. It is essentially not more complicated than that. You just need to tell ChatGPT what you want remembered. Okay, and so then we go down, and It says ready when you are. Just say Newsify, drop the link. I get that information. So that is the wake word technique. You are giving it a short little thing that you don't think you're going to talk about in your regular chats. Newsify is not a word that I'm going to use. Also, just because I don't know if everybody knows this, but because we're dealing with tokens and everything gets everything gets converted into it, like what a token is for AI. Capital letters are different than lowercase letters. So if I wrote lowercase Newsify, it would not it wouldn't trigger it in the same way. Okay. So that's the wake word. Let's oh, and the other thing you can see up here, I can use this with ChatGPT o3. I can choose my different models. This is one of the reasons that it is potentially a good idea for situations where you want to be able to vary things and you can't currently in a custom GPT that could also run these sorts of things. Like you get to choose how much reasoning you want and the model that you want to use for it. So I will stop sharing and see what y'all think about that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. And that, you build just a couple such wake word routines, and that would drive more of your usage towards ChatGPT if you're a promiscuous AI user like I am. So I like that. It's a good tip. I'm gonna see if I can find some time to set that up.
So the other piece of this, I love that. Did anybody else have anything to say about it? So the other piece of this is that when the memory gets added to your prompt going back and forth, it's added in system memory. It doesn't count in your token window, right? In your conversational token window.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I mean, I do like anytime there's a new feature that extends my usage capabilities. I ran into using up all my O3 for my Plus account just a few days ago, which I never thought I would. But yeah, when you really dive into it, oh man, I'm just contributing to more of the AI words by using the AI words. But, but the more you use AI, and especially if you're really trying to follow a thread that you're hounding on, I guess. See, that's a better word. It tends to go through those. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that 4.5 is back on the menu.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. I liked the verboseness and the subtle changes in speech. What I do want to see though is if that changes how advanced voice is going to sound and speak, if that is part of that process. But that's neither here nor there. The wake words, I agree with Andy, is probably the most interesting thing that you've laid out so far. I think being able to do these mini pseudocode activation kind of functions is going to be a really additive to the experience. Now, what I do have more questions on is through your experience, Beth, what has been the memory recall for you? Like I've read a couple of things coming in from chat saying, hey, it's not able to pull anything from like 3 or 4 conversations ago, and then others are saying, oh, it can grab from anywhere. So what's been your experience using that component? Because it does split it in between 2, right? There's a specified memory where you're saying, remember this exact thing,
add this
right?
to my memory. Yep.
And then there's the memory from chat where it can make relevant extractions from all of your chat history. So could you go into your experience for that?
Sure. and um, one of the reasons that the saved memory is uh, is helpful, the way that they've set up the saved memory, is because you can go back and edit it. You can't go back and remove chats from your previous history and say, don't include this in my previous history, right? It just goes in sequence of your previous history. So that's one of the reasons I think distinguishes that, and particularly if you're someone who uses your chat GPT for multiple clients. What I have found, the first thing that I found when I went and looked at my memory is, wow, do I talk about this show a lot? So there's a ton of information about the Daily AI Show and the kind of work that we do to put the show together. So there's a bunch of that. That is ripe for condensing, right? So I can then go, the next step for this would be and will be to go and say, okay, tell me everything you know about the Daily AI Show and let's summarize it, because now you can go and you can chunk that down to what's really important. Um,
Um,
yeah, Brian.
Well, I was going to say, look, I think there's a couple paths here that I would be open to. One, I would be open to OpenAI coming up with a pricing model as an add-on for better memory. The way I think they could do this, because I would think it's got to be a massive undertaking to actually improve memory for everybody just from database compute power. Think about what that would require, right? I don't know how many chats I have in ChatGPT in my personal account, and then probably double or triple of that in the company account. But it's a lot. It's a lot, right, of context. So okay, I know I could, if I had an export all, I could put that in Supabase. I could make that into a vector database and create semantic search, and then call to that database in a chat and essentially have a onboard memory function. And then maybe once a week, all the chats get uploaded into that database and things get erased if they need to, or whatever. So that would be one option, is allow me to create my own memory and call to it through a connector through Superbase or other vector database solutions like Pinecone, right? That would be great, right? Or, hey, OpenAI, charge me more per month and charge me $10 more per month or whatever for you to grab all my past chats and vectorize them, which they sort of do. They have sort of a RAG system, whatever, but do it in an efficient manner, update it once a day, and allow me directly in the in ChatGPT to have that super memory essentially. It's a solvable problem, but I also recognize that the reason it probably isn't particularly great is it's got to be a massive undertaking to try to provide great memory for every user. And now, to your point, down to the free users to it. Do I think this is 100% solvable and will be solved? Where Jude, everybody else in the comments is basically saying the same thing. If it's not there today, it's probably going to be there tomorrow, right? It's going to get better, and we've seen it get better. So I'm super bullish on memory because I think there's a lot of value there. But I do think it uncovers, Beth, like what we kind of already know, which is that memory is a tricky human problem to solve. And the way you see that pretty quickly is as soon as you try to see an AI do memory really well and it doesn't, and you're like, oh, it falls flat. And I think a lot of that just is because honestly, it's a hard human thing to do. How do you accurately predict what me or Andy or Jimmy or Carl's here or Beth, you would want to know? And the reality is that's 5 different answers of different variants of what we would want out of our memory. So either it's got to be something I can pay more for and I can twist and tailor a bit. And honestly, I would pay more. If it was $10 or more, maybe even more than that for a really good memory, I would pay $20, an extra $20. I go to $40 a month for my pro plan for really good memory. It would be that valuable to me. Or let me do it on my own through Superbase, Pinecone to do some cool stuff that way. And just let me call to it at the top of the right chats and say, hey, go search my memory for this because I know I've talked about it before, and bring back those results as it relates to this chat. So just some thoughts there.
So the hack that I use for that, without really intending to use it, without intending to call it that, Brian, but I realize as you're saying it, this is the hack that I use for that, is that typically I use the search feature because I've talked about this before, right? So give me it was a conversation about discernment. So I look for discernment, it pulls it up. Inevitably, I'm going to have a conversation there, but I can also just rename the chat
Mhm.
because this for me is like, wow, that was really far back. Let's add a blue circle to the
Yeah,
chat and
I
maybe
do
I
that a
will be
lot.
able to visually recognize it. Just renaming it brings it up and puts it now most recent in your chat memory.
Mhm.
And so that is a way to make sure. It would be nicer if it did all sorts of segmented things. The other thing about this is, so let's just summarize. So we have talked about the wake word as one of the tips and hacks. We have talked about and the wake word is setting a word and then giving it like the set of the prompt or what you need to remember when that word is said, typed, and then it runs like a program or a mini app. It does those things that you've told it to remember. The second is to regularly clean up and ask ChatGPT to condense. Hey, tell me everything that you know about the Daily AI show, and let's put it in like a little mini summarization, like use the most efficient language possible to talk about those things, right? So now I can go back into my memory and I can delete all the other like specific individual memories about the Daily AI show because now I have a whole summary. So now that I've cleared room, because memory is limited, you have a limited amount of space or tokens to use. Free gets about 2,000 tokens, we think. 8 plus gets 8,000 tokens. I cannot see that there's anything that says Pro gets more tokens for remembered memory. They do absolutely get longer chat history. All right, so we have we have a third one, but who's talking? Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, this kind of goes a little bit with what Brian's saying, and you were touching upon a few things about management, right? And that was my big takeaway when experimenting a little more with memory is um, I would like it to be a little more siloed. And maybe there's a different feature that would solve this better for me. Maybe it's a advanced form of a project or something along those lines. But number one, for UI experience or UX experience, I found it kind of weird, and this could just be learned behavior, but I found it kind of weird that to add anything to the memory, I had to say, remember this thing, and then it would add.
You
I
don't have to, but you can.
well, I couldn't manually type it into the memory section.
No,
Yeah,
no.
that's what my learned behavior would say. It's like, oh, I want to add a memory. Okay, just like custom instructions, I can type in
No.
whatever I want. But for memory, for that specified memory, I can't just type in what I want. So
And just one extra thing to that, Jimmy. I don't know if you noticed this. Like, you have to go look at that memory, just like when you do tasks, like scheduled tasks. It doesn't put in necessarily what you told it to put in. It puts in what it thinks you meant by it, which is kind of annoying if you wanted something super
very
specific in that
specific. Yeah,
memory. I agree
yeah,
with you. Like, let me write the memory, or at least say, put it in triple backticks and say verbatim, put this in memory. That might work, but it is kind
right.
of annoying. I agree. Sorry, just want to
Yeah.
throw that in there.
So from that UI or UX experience, I'm not. I think there's some minor tweaks that can be updated there, and then I think we've touched upon this from everybody so far is I would kind of like to be able to silo or segment, right?
Mhm.
I use my one account to work on all of my projects, right? I think it would be less lift on the system if I could separate what chats are what, for chat history. So if I could say these chat histories are flagged with, whatever the relevant statement is, then I'm imagining that's less because it doesn't have to search everything. It just has to find the one thing. But that could be different on the back end. I don't know the specifics of how they're doing their scaling, how they're doing their how they're moving memory and analyzing the chat history. But I would like some form of segmentation there.
That would have been the promise of projects, what you're saying. That is segmentation, right? But they're in the same thing. Projects has some limiting factors. Number one, you can't put a custom GPT in a project. It's weird that you can't, but that would be helpful. Number two, when you are adding files to it, they don't necessarily act as memory. That would also be something that would be really great in a project. So it's like they built projects, which is segmentation. And then you and I are like, oh, great. I will just name a new project after this client I'm working with or whatever. And everything I do, I will always do it in that project. And honestly, they allow you to move chats in and out of projects, which is super nice. But I can't use custom GPTs. It doesn't really have the memory. And when it uses the files, it doesn't always quite look at those files the way I would want it to as a knowledge document in a custom GPT. So I'm like stuck in this weird middle position of like, y'all have built the things, but where's the connectors that make it
wait a second.
Clarify
when you say that being in a project doesn't use the memory, because I just reviewed what's in my memory and it's all from my projects.
I think what I'm saying is you can add memory that the project will look at, but when I'm adding knowledge documents, I cannot make a project, at least in my experience. I'm thrilled to be wrong on this. In my experience, I have not been able to add files as like project files and essentially get the chats inside that project to look at those as like things I wanted to remember. And what I mean is like formatting, M dashes, whatever it might be that you're trying to do, or, hey, this client only likes to be spoken to this way. So don't ever give me an email suggestion if it's not super succinct, 3 words, whatever, right? It doesn't work like that for me. It has the knowledge. It just doesn't go and look at it. With custom instructions, we used to always say, right, Beth, when we were teaching 2 years ago for the AI exchange, we would say, look, it appends. It has recency bias. It appends it to the prompt, which is actually a good thing. But even today, I actually feel like we've gone backwards with that, because since basic custom instructions back in the day were, or at least appeared to be, appended to every prompt that was using those custom instructions. That's why they would say it only works if you start a new one. If you had updated your custom instructions, you were in a chat, it didn't affect that chat. You had to start a new one. Why? Because it added it to it. Well, it's almost like that simple rudimentary structure was more effective for me 2 years ago than where we are today, or whenever custom instructions first came out. I don't know. That's just my take on it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So one of the things that I think is true about all of this is that if projects functioned the way that we think projects should function, there would be fewer uses. I think part of people going into these things and finding out hacks is because we need ways of getting around the fact that ChatGPT has put out some stuff that seems brilliant, but then gets in the way when you're trying to use it. Inevitably, because we do the show and we do thumbnails for the show, you can't edit you can go back in ChatGPT and edit your text-based prompts anywhere in the thing. You can't edit image requests. You can't go back and edit an image request and ask for a second image request. Like there are things in that are like, okay. And I also ran into the custom GPTs. Like, really, the people who know about projects are your power users who also know about custom GPTs. So hey, right? Like, can that be a thing? Andy, the other thing that I think is in answer to your projects question is, I'm not sure that you are segmenting to only look at the project chat history, which would make sense, right? So
that's true. What I found by looking at the memory for the first time, really, since I've had it running for however many months, was that it was basically recording approvals that I gave it in the workflow process that's defined by instructions in my project. And
Right.
that's useless memory. Like,
Right.
oh, he approved that for lesson number 42. Oh, he approved that for lesson number 43. You know, why? Why are you recording that? That has no import to any subsequent chat that I would have, you know,
Yeah.
with ChatGPT. So yeah, that seems like a real janky limitation of the memory system.
Yeah. Absolutely. Carl, we understand that you have said you're a fan of ChatGPT memory, and you are our representative plus user on the show. Sorry, pro user on the show. So we're curious about your experience.
Most of the time I use, because I still use projects on the left-hand side for all our clients, depending on what we do it for. Understanding the limitations of what I need it for versus what I don't need it for. But what it's nice, I don't use it often, is like, hey, do you remember our conversation about this? Out, like, I would use it like that, be like, hey, refer to that. This is what we're doing. This is what I want you to do for this. And I haven't really had any problems with referring and then leveraging it, not necessarily knowing that it won't give me everything, that I may have to feed it a little bit more. But it's nice to give me that reference point, that way we talked about it. So it's like, hey, we talked about this strategic plan that we were building, and this is the direction they went. Can we just continue that conversation? And when we did that, it was like, it kind of worked. So I was like, oh, okay. So I haven't had very many issues on that side, but it's sort of intrinsic that I kind of know the limitations of it. So I don't really try to push the envelope on that side, versus when those things come in, then I'll start doing it a little bit more. But I'm not trying to push any of the memory type functions into my workflows.
So, as a pro user, are you on O3 by default?
Yeah,
Like, do you just use that?
pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. So that is also something to be aware of. I don't know if everybody knows this, but they've increased the limits, but you're still limited as a plus user. You have 50 uses per week.
For O3?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I would blow through that so much. I use that thing, I would say 10x that every week, if that. Like, that's, yeah.
I mean, why not, right? If you have it, use it. Yeah, it is the better model. So yeah, I would do the same thing. I mean, it's a good differentiator, right, at that pro level, because of, I mean, O3 is really, really powerful.
Yes. Yeah.
But I was saying this before you joined too, Carl. Like, I do wonder. It's never been publicly said that I'm aware of, but I do wonder if your memory is perhaps a little bit better at the pro account than the plus account. And it's possible it is. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at that. You're paying more per month. So if you had better memory through the past chats, I'm cool with that.
Oh, definitely.
You think so?
Yes.
Is that like a known thing, Beth, or is that you're just saying you agree? I'm just curious.
It is a known. Okay. So it's a known thing. It does not ChatGPT's or OpenAI's official thing is they have better memory longer back. It's also a known thing from Reddit conversations. So that's one of the things that I use Perplexity to do, is to go search, like, what are people saying about the limits of the free, of the paid, that kind of stuff. There is no indication that you have more than the 8,000 tokens that plus users have for the specific, like, remember this memory, but there is indication that yes, it's remembering a ton more of your conversations, your conversational history.
Well, one thing that you may want to check to see if you have this is go to 4.0 and ask it, hey, do you just pick something that you had that conversation about maybe a couple days ago or a week ago, ask it there, and ask a similar question. Let's say you used O3 that week, ask 04, 4.0, and 03 the same question to see if it's across all the models. Because I tried that a couple days ago and it did. So like whether you're using 4.0, 03 didn't matter. It would remember the conversation as a whole. I would try that to see if that's in plus.
Yep.
So if you did, so if you did something in 03, ask 4.0 if it remembered what you did in 03 and see if that actually like, if it works like that.
Right. And it's interesting. It should be, I suspect, as well. So it adds it into the system instructions, and the way and the personalizations that we have added
Yeah.
are added. So there's the like system instruction for the model, right? You are ChatGPT, you have all of these things. And then there's the custom instructions that you add. Custom instructions are across the board, right? I don't know if custom instructions, like if you go into an incognito, if custom instructions are still there, but custom instructions, yeah, Jimmy says yes.
Yeah. If you do a temporary chat, custom is there, but memory isn't.
Okay. So, and then if memory isn't, it means it didn't just go into your memories. It's not writing to the thing. Like you can't go back to that chat, right? Like it does not include it in your chat history.
Yeah.
So if you're doing, so we have the model system instructions, we have your custom instructions, and then we have this personalization thing. So if you are using memory as a wake word kind of thing, that then gets added to your instructions that are being used to be relevant in this context. Cool. All right. So we said we had two. The third technique is one you've heard me talk about a lot, but this is intentional for creating memories for ChatGPT. Have it interview you about the things that are important to you, right? Have it like, hey, I want to update your memory. I want to make sure you have comprehensive knowledge about what I do, or I want you to make sure you have a comprehensive knowledge about this project that I'm doing, right? Something specific. And have it interview you because it is important to, like, it can help you be comprehensive in what the information is that you're giving it. So we have interview, that's one trick. We have summarize, condense and summarize, that's the second trick. And the third trick is the wake word thing. We do have a bonus that I've referenced, but are there any questions or comments or tricks that you want to share?
Well, I did a quick experiment last night to see how well I could get both custom instructions and memory to work with each other, and it did that in combined with some mentions in chat. I'm going to see how well I can extend custom instructions with memory, especially with the wake words and more of those. Maybe not direct instructions. We'll see how that works out. But what I came up with was a experiment or a demo, I guess, to make custom instructions and memory work together as two components of, or two sides of a coin, right? So custom instructions is clearly, this is how I want you to act, right? That's essentially the basis for that. And then memory is, this is the information that I want you to remember about me. And so I came up with a little bit of a training life coach. And of course, to make it fantastical, I made it seem like the training coach was from a fantasy world. So let me quickly share this screen, and I can show you what I got here. Well, the first thing I need to do is I need to bring up the window, don't I? There you go. Now I can share it. Okay. So, and of course, like I was mentioning, 4.5, just to see if I can get more flowery language from it. And so here's my quest trainer. It's like, let's start out my workout quest today. And so it gives me a nice novel approach to how to train for my 5K, right? It'll give me my objectives. It's using a little gamification here kind of thing and give me XP, XP and gold. So anyone who's familiar with a fantasy RPG, you can see the elements here. Now, I also wanted to make sure that it still had the memory that I had put into it, and it lists them all out here. So it's, it's keeping this short amount of memory and these key pieces of information you see highlighted here between quests. And so here is another setup I had put up here. And we'll see how chat guides me through the next set, because I took an arrow to the knee and now I have knee problems. So it's still following the same format, giving me my objectives with my slight modification, since I no longer can train in the way that I did before. Gives me my rewards, and gives me a little thing to follow and follow up mentally as opposed as physically as well.
So if you're listening instead of watching, there's quest objectives, there's rewards unlocked, and your journal prompt, right? Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So. That's so cool. All right. Something that I just figured out, I believe in this, is I'm not sure if O3 sets memories in the same way that 4.0 does. Yes. I'm getting the O's confused, but that's in the right order. So if you want to make sure that a memory that you set, right, you've given it something and you've said, add this to memory, or please remember this, or something overt, then go to your memories and check that out. Check out that it actually did it. So we're going to try that Newsify thing again here. So let me just share this tab instead and put it on the screen. Okay, so this is the one that didn't work. And when I checked the memories, it didn't have it in it. So let's now see if this is going to work. We're going to say, Newsify this, please. And it's going to come back with the format. Ish. Okay. So the third and final, we did the third, was the interview. The fourth bonus technique for memory is to set personas. And that actually has, that I know works. So I'm going to share again. Let's go to a new chat. And this, I have a job identification person. I have a job identification custom GPT that just has like the kinds of skills that I would want to talk to based on my goal. So I say, hey, I'm looking to put together a slide deck for a presentation to my co-hosts about something I want to do with the show, right? And so then the job ID custom GPT will give me something in a format that says who that is. This I set up as a persona. So let me share this. And I'm going to say, I'd like to talk with job ID or Jobid because I have a goal.
We're not seeing your screen if you
stop sharing. Oh, I need to put it on. Thank you. There we go. I have a goal for writing a musical improv comedy pamphlet. For our conservatory. Okay. So my goal is writing the musical improv comedy pamphlet. Let's find the right professional. These are the specialty skill sets. This is what I'd like to focus on. So now I can say, I'd like you to add, now act as this specialist. And sure, let's say, what do I need to know about translating live improv experience into compelling content? Talk to me about the value of. Okay, why it's worth doing. Improv disappears, writing endures, codifies what's often invisible, creates clarity for new performers, right? So we can see that with very little needing to think about it, I'm now speaking with a persona that that is specialized to this for me. I could then also say, save this persona, save this characteristics for this persona, and give it a name. So I want this persona to be called impy. I don't know. Something like that.
Beth, can you share what this looked like to set up Job ID?
Sure.
Like, what does it look like in memory right now?
I am not going to publicly show my memories,
Show
but
your
I will
memory.
show.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But I will show what it looked like when I was setting it up. I believe this is it. Is it? Nope. Okay. No, that's going to be that. All right. Hang on. Let me go. This is the dossier.
Just verbally describe what it's like to say, okay, I'm going to create a persona, which is like a custom GPT. It's a mini custom GPT that is callable by a named entity within your regular chats.
Yes.
So just give us the kind of the 1, 2, 3 of how you would build that again for some new such persona.
I did, in fact, build it with the custom GPT. I used the same instructions. It summarized those in the it summarized those when it added it to memory. And I didn't care enough. Like, I had a template that I wanted it to use. When I run the custom GPT, it uses the template and it spits it out. This doesn't, but I don't care about that. I just want to be able to talk to these individual personas. Now, there is a little, and it's the same kind of thing, right? Like, I would like to speak with Flow, or this is actually, there's an aside for this. One of the first things that I used ChatGPT for when I was training to be a Salesforce admin and Salesforce consultant was to help me understand something that was called flows. Now it's not called flows anymore, but those were kind of automations within Salesforce. When this happens, then do these sorts of things. You can write to records, you can do all kinds of stuff. And so I created a persona in ChatGPT called Flow, but I had it just running in a single thread, right? Because that's another way to make sure that you're all having the same conversation. The problem with that is that it then only remembers the 20,000, 200,000 token window, or whatever that window was, right? So it's only that section. So if I set the information that it needed for really giving me the advice on creating flows in the beginning, now it doesn't include it anymore. So this is a way to bring it back. The other way that this works is kind of like variables when you're coding. Like, variables are basically a way to say, when I say this word, I want you to understand this about it. And so it's including that. And that, I think, is like almost the best way to think of this, as like you are setting a variable. The variable that you're setting is job ID. The variable that you're setting is Newsify, right? And then it's going to do those things. You guys talk for a second and I will stop talking and see if I can find what that looks like.
Okay, well, I did want to actually bring up a couple of things just so that people who are watching or listening later ChatGPT or OpenAI is very clear that it will train off of your memory. Like
Yes.
when it talks about its memory functions or features, they say that they will be training off of it. So I know it's sometimes a ambiguous situation with them, whether they train off of your chats or not. You know, they may choose to, those kinds of things, but they were explicit saying that they will train off of your memory. And if that's a privacy issue, they gave the example of using a temporary chat for when you wouldn't want that to happen. So just something to be cognizant of. I'm also seeing some great conversations in chat regarding application of using memory, and Justin's definitely hopped in, and Greg's mentioning different ways that they're doing their prompt cleaning for token efficiency and using memory in different ways and things like that. So it's always great to see all of that now. I may be able to review it a little bit later, but I think it would be great if our community members got to see maybe a condensed form of everything that you all are chatting about in our community for better reference. Because I know there's been a couple of times that I think Justin has mentioned, hey, are you using memory this way? This is how I use it. And these are fantastic insights into how to use various LLM features. So I'd love to see an ongoing thread or channel for that, just throwing in your, hey, I've had a great experience trying this methodology or this framework with this model set or for this particular use case. So something that you can really bite into.
Absolutely. Justin is, I think, the expert on this for us. You can go to our Slack. If you're not part of our community yet, you certainly can be. It's free. It's a Slack. You can go to the Daily AI Show community.com and get in right there. Okay, so to answer Andy's question, this is the prompt that I used, which was literally copy pasted from the custom GPT. So job ID is the best identifier in the world because of their deep insight into job titles and the skills and specialties involved. This is the format that I usually get with the custom GPT. When I go to the memory itself, yes, I'm sharing that correct tab. If I go to the memory itself, and let me pull that up. Oh, no. I know what I'm doing here. All right. I'm in this tab. If I go to the memory itself, this is what that created in the memory. So the memory says, has created a character named job ID, a vocational analyst who specializes in mapping skill to role compatibility. They help people find the right professional to consult with, and they recommend that they have 2 titles, 3 areas of expertise, and 4 skill sets. So it did take all of that information. It made it more condensed, right? So it used, I don't know, fewer words, but it was the information that was important to do. 2 titles, 3 areas of expertise, 4 specialty skill sets, generally to discuss around a goal, and it's going to be named Jobid.
And it references in the memory that you used and presented a specific format, but it doesn't seem to recite that in the memory itself. So
Right.
it's a curiosity to me. Does it then, when you invoke job ID, does it then go back to the
Nope.
original prompt? How does it remember the format is the question.
It actually doesn't use the format, which we could see when
Oh,
we
you're saying it's not
went.
doing that well.
Um,
Because maybe you
it
could enhance the memory by adding. Can you add formatting example in the memory?
I could try to get it to do it in the memory, but I don't know that it would be successful.
Yeah.
And there's only
So
like 1,500 like characters or whatnot, right?
Per
For
memory, is there a limit
yeah.
on what you can add to
What you can see in the settings anyways. So I know
Yeah.
that's an issue with custom instructions as well.
Right. So in the example that I showed you um, where we were seeing what persona, the musical improv persona, that actually was an example of how it was answering. So it didn't do that specific format, but it did actually give me the information, right? So its first thing when I said, I want to talk with Jabid, great. It knows that it's a goal. It knows it's got to give a recommended specialist, the expertise areas, and the specialty skill sets, right? So it's done all that. It didn't do it in the format, but I don't really care. The reason that I had it in the format was because when I set this, which is really long ago, you had to do like the format was the way to force it to give you each piece. Now it doesn't need that forcing. But it did say format and it did not do it. That's a good point.
Yeah, got it.
All right. Carl, welcome back.
Sorry.
No problem. Is there so I think we're just about to wrap up. Are there final thoughts? I think if you haven't, my final thought is this is a cool thing. And if you haven't experimented with it, I suggest that you do. Again, it's available for free, right? So if you're a paid thing and you don't want to reveal any of that, go make a free account. Check it out. Play with it.
I think the one thing that I wanted to mention is I think some people have been telling me this, but I haven't checked it, is that Google in either the studio or Gemini references it. But if you use Gemini or Google, I would recommend trying it there too to see if it remembers your chat or anything like that. By the way, you know what's gross today? This is totally unrelated to AI. Our dog, which is a puppy, is rolling around, and my wife found him eating a dead bird. And I was just rolling around from a robin's nest that has been, every spring they go up, and just rolling around, just munching on it, spitting it out, munching on it, spitting out. And my wife was like, "What is this?" And she's like, "Carl," and I was like, "What?" And I was like,
Okay.
But Carl, we
no.
eat dead birds all the time.
No.
I mean, I love chicken, turkey,
we have 2 more
Oh, you mean it
shows
was
today. Don't go. We have 2 more shows today. None of them are talking about dogs rolling in dead birds or eating them. In fact, we'll be back at 1 o'clock. No, at noon today, 9 a.m. Pacific to do vibe coding. That's going to be a quicker show, but we're going to do our next step in vibe coding. And then we have our sci-fi AI show talking about communication that goes faster than the speed of light. The Sci-Fi AI show is on the Sci-Fi AI channel at the Sci-Fi AI show. And we hope to see you in all of our new future endeavors. Thanks. Have a great day, everybody.
Aloha.